Chelsea, for the first time under the Boehly era, felt like we were making some progress the last 5 or 6 games of the season.
It finishes Chelsea 2, Bournemouth 1, 5 wins in a row, ends the season on a high for the Blues, who secure European football for next season.
I'm going to stay a few days more in London. Yes, I will always open and my phone is going to be on.
Mauricio Pochettino has left Chelsea by mutual consent.
I think he wanted to go. Bearing in mind the press conferences that he's given and some of the things he's said, I don't think he's unhappy going, and I think they're quite happy with him going as well.
And then we've got these faceless sporting directors, Winstanley and Stewart, or is it Coco the Clown and Charlie Caroli? I mean, backside covering, blame shifting, sucking up to the boss, all of that.
We all know it makes sense. We all want Pochettino back at Tottenham. It should have happened 12 months ago.
I can absolutely see why his name would be on a lot of Manchester United's lips.
Oh dear, roller coaster of a week then for Chelsea. The managerial merry-go-round, just from hearing there, could continue with, by the sound of it, Man United maybe looking now at Pochettino now that he has left Chelsea at the start of April. Chelsea were 12th. The season looked to be heading towards an underwhelming end, but an upturn in form saw the club lose just, 1 in 10? Finished with European football to look forward to for next season as they secured 6th spot. And it was seen as though Mauricio Pochettino was the right man to come in to mould a youthful squad, as we know, with the Chelsea players. But his reign lasted just 12 months after the decision was made to mutually part ways on Tuesday. So attention now turns to who will come in to replace him. And supposedly, the shortlist includes Ipswich Town's Kieran McKenna. He seems to be hot property right now. Leicester's Enzo Maresca and also Brentford's Thomas Frank. To that last one. Contact supposedly has been made with McKenna, who won promotion from the Championship with Ipswich this season, double promotions as well after coming up from League One the previous year. But there seems to be now competition as well, looking to from Brighton, for example, who are looking to replace Roberto. I mean, who knows where anyone is going to end up right now? But there are a lot of clubs seeking a manager.
Do you know what, Nat?
Go on.
In the middle of the week, I was thinking, I don't tweet, but I was thinking of tweeting out, Xavi's got to go after the 3-0 defeat with Bayer Leverkusen.
And there we go.
I was thinking, but how crazy it is, how difficult it is to be a manager. It feels like impossible. The only thing I would say, I bumped into Andy Jacobs on Monday as we were coming in. He was in full meltdown on Monday when he hadn't even been sacked yet, Pochettino. But he was in meltdown and he was talking to me in reception. And I kept thinking, if Chelsea had started the season like they finished and ended the season the other way round, it wouldn't have been an issue, him getting sacked. No. If you're taking it over the course of a season. Obviously, the objective was to be in the top 4 at least, which they didn't achieve. And largely, it was a very disappointing season. There was lots of issues along the way and many bad results. And I was listening to Rory Jennings, who's a Chelsea fan, on Friday, and Rory was,
sorry, I can't believe. I just don't even want to have anything to say about that Rory Jennings. He had so many issues, Mauricio Pochettino. 1 minute he was the worst thing.
You can't be both.
Then a couple of days later, he was the best thing since sliced bread with Rory Jennings. So I mean, he's just ridiculous in some of the things he has to say. But anyhow,
but that is the general way we think in football now, isn't it? Now that we have an element of, well, today because it was great. It's fantastic, and then a week later he can be terrible. Someone can be terrible. No one seems to make an assessment over a period of time, and that's what Chelsea have done as a club. That's true.
Do you think though he was always the wrong choice because of that Tottenham connection?
Well, it was always an issue. Of course, it was. Chelsea fans and Tottenham fans don't have much love for each other. If you know anything about football, you know that they're okay. Arsenal-Tottenham's probably a bigger rivalry, but there ain't much love lost between Tottenham and Chelsea.
No,
And it wasn't a great fit from the very start. Chelsea fans have had managers that have been hugely successful, been in charge of their football club. I thought when it happened, I wasn't surprised at all. He would have been gone under Roman, without a doubt, Abramovich.
Well, earlier in the season.
Absolutely, he'd have well gone.
But like you say, though, because of the upturn in form and they've ended with European football, okay, maybe not the Champions League, which obviously is the prize jewel for everyone. I understand that. But still, a lot of people might have still thought, hang on, we were just starting to see the fruits of his labour. We were just starting to see this Chelsea under Mauricio Pochettino. And look, since Todd Boehly's takeover in May 2022, as we know, they've spent, over £1 billion worth in transfers. They've had 4 managers, if including Frank Lampard's caretaker spell, which is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, it doesn't seem to be much of a plan.
No, look, obviously the transfer recruitment policy was an issue. Conor Gallagher being the captain and could have been the one being sold. If Reece James would have been fit all season, Reece James could have been sold because he was a homegrown player. They could have got huge money for him. He wasn't. He was injured all season.
And he spoke about that, Mauricio Pochettino. He spoke about the fact that, one, it was always difficult to convince the fans because of his Tottenham connections, like we've already said. Injuries were a big problem. It was a young squad that he was having to bed in. But when you look at some of the good things that he did at Chelsea, and I'm going to refer to one player who we all know has had an incredible standout season, Cole Palmer. Yeah. Now, for whatever reason, Pep Guardiola didn't feel as though he needed him at Manchester City. But Pochettino, I should say, has got the best out of Cole Palmer that Pep Guardiola clearly wasn't able to or didn't want to get out of Cole Palmer.
Well, I could add a few to that. I could add, certainly, if you look at Caicedo's a far better player towards the end of the season. It looks like he's the player they invested 100 million on. Thought Cucurella played really well towards the end of the season. They had Fofana out injured, which was another issue. Obviously, Gusto had come into the team and done really well. Look, was a great replacement, and he got injured. There's been loads of issues, and it did feel like unfinished business for Poch at Chelsea.
What I mean. It just felt like it was going. It was starting to get good. And in a weird way, the summer break and the end of the season's come at the wrong time because it was starting to get good. But James has texted in, thank you very much, James. He says, it feels to me more that Poch walked away rather than he was pushed. I don't think he was happy with the plans for the squad next season, which absolutely, you're right, James. Obviously, the statement suggested it was mutual consent.
His last interview.
A lot of people will always say mutual consent. It's never mutual consent because there's always one side of the argument that's going to be
outweigh,
more. Yeah, exactly. But what I would say is, if he wasn't happy with the plans for next season, that's because Chelsea have made his position in a way untenable. But you would have thought, because of what we saw towards the end of the season, they would have wanted to have made the plans suit Pochettino because things were starting to show promise.
The answer was in the meetings because the meeting went on for 2 days. And the second day, Chelsea pushed for the meeting to go on. Obviously trying to persuade, in my opinion, this is only my opinion, him to start a football club under these circumstances.
Right.
Which I think he felt, you're giving me handcuffs. I don't want to be managed like that.
So, if that's the case then, that someone of Pochettino's calibre, he's walked away from it, if we're believing that to be the case, I mean, is it a poison chalice now for whoever comes in? Because, like I say, 4 managers in 2 years is not a great look.
No, I think there's a lot of things. There'll be loads of people who'd want the job, obviously, because it's a great job, highly paid.
Yeah.
You also got a very exciting group of players there that, if you think you can improve it again, and there was lots of good things that have developed over the season at Chelsea towards the end of it. Jackson started to get way more goals. Madueke's come into the team and looked like he's going to be a player for them and improve again. I think there's lots of good things at Chelsea. It's not going to scare many managers. And also, Nat, just on this is, you should never be... If you think you look at a squad and you go, I think I can get more from this squad and become a better team, that should excite you. This is not a club that won't spend money and don't have enough talent in their pool.
But it's also a club that clearly has no stability. It doesn't want to give someone a chance.
I agree.
Or it doesn't want to give that manager, like we're suggesting with Pochettino, the resources or whatever it is he wants to make them better. So when you're going for someone like Kieran McKenna, who's still relatively young in his managerial career, is he wise to move away from what feels more stable at Ipswich? Yes, they're going to be moving into the Premier League. Yes, it might be a difficult season, but he might, I was about to say, might do a Burnley and stick around, but Vincent Kompany, it seems, is moving on. But there might be more of a loyalty with the owners of Ipswich than there would be with Chelsea.
Yeah, I get that, but all high-profile jobs are very volatile.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just matter of fact. That's what it is. They got a very exciting squad of players there. If I was looking at the Ipswich squad and thinking just in your... There is obviously loyalty comes into it. If he wants to be loyal to, which is great, and he wants to stay at Ipswich, fantastic.
Is McKenna the right man then for Chelsea?
Well,
I know he's not the only name linked, but...
No, I think it would be a very exciting appointment because I think there's a lot of genius younger managers coming through. And I think we're seeing the sort of development of management. Most of them all want to play attacking football, want to be very aggressive and try and win games, not just at home games, away, on the road. And I think that's one of the reasons why. I mean, it seems bizarre. I mean, I know we'll probably talk about Kompany later, Vincent Kompany, but they're, having a brand of football, which is the only way to go, which is not a perfect system, but I do think that adds a lot. I don't think he looks like a guy to me, when I listen to him talk, that is going to be, afraid of a job like Chelsea. Or phased, exciting for him if he's flavour of the month for the moment, isn't he?
He certainly is.
He really is. He's that.
Well, as I said, he's not the only name linked with now the vacant job at Chelsea, but Scott, thank you very much for your message. He says, never mind McKenna or De Zerbi for Chelsea, Xavi is available. Sign him up.
Yeah, well,
100%.
that came last night. And
there's another name in the frame, possibly.
And by the way, I mean, you're talking about harsh sort of sackings because it feels that you don't really sack the Xavi, do you? You don't. You can't. He's a Barcelona legend. But, what a job he did in a very difficult set of circumstances at Barcelona. Literally, the club are bankrupt.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.